At my husband's surprise birthday party, his phone rang. The caller ID said, "Future wife." Confused, I answered. A woman's voice laughed, "Happy birthday, baby. Hope your wife didn't plan anything annoying." My blood ran cold. I looked up. My husband was smiling, oblivious. I put the call on speaker and said, "Actually, I did plan a surprise." His smile faded. Then the woman screamed his real name. I spent months planning my husband Ethan's 40th birthday. I wanted it to be special. We'd been together for 12 years, married for 10, and I thought we had a good life. Sure, things weren't perfect, but whose marriage was? The party was at the Gauge, this nice restaurant downtown in Chicago. I rented out the private dining area, decorated it, invited all his friends, family, coworkers, everyone. Ethan had no idea. He thought we were just going out for dinner, just the two of us. When we walked in and everyone yelled, "Surprise!" he looked genuinely shocked. He smiled, laughed, pulled me in for a kiss. He whispered, "You did all this for me?" like he couldn't believe it. I felt so proud in that moment. I thought, God, I love this man. The night was perfect. People were eating, drinking, telling stories about Ethan, laughing. He was making the rounds, hugging his mom, talking to his boss, joking with his best friend Tim. I was sitting at the head of the table, just watching him, feeling happy. Then his phone lit up on the table next to me. I wasn't going to look. I swear I wasn't. I wasn't the kind of wife who snooped. I trusted him, but then I saw the name on the screen. Future wife. I actually let out a small laugh because I thought it was a joke. Maybe a stupid contact name from a friend playing a prank. Maybe something old from years ago. But the phone kept buzzing. The name was still there. Future wife. I picked it up. Answered. Before I could say anything, a woman's voice came through, smooth and amused. "Happy birthday, baby. Hope your wife didn't plan anything annoying." I froze. My blood ran cold. The room was still filled with noise, people talking and laughing, but everything around me just faded. I turned and looked at Ethan. He was mid-laugh, head tilted back, beer in hand. Completely oblivious. Something inside me broke. I put the call on speaker. Actually, I did plan a surprise. Silence. Ethan's face dropped. His head snapped toward me. Then, from the phone, the woman's voice turned shrill. "Ethan, why is she answering your phone? I thought you were divorcing her." It was like all the air got sucked out of the room. The chatter stopped. Forks and knives paused midair. Eyes darted from me to Ethan. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stared at me. I didn't take my eyes off him as I spoke into the phone. "You thought what?" The woman stammered. Ethan?" Ethan finally moved. He lunged for his phone, but I pulled it back, gripping it so tight my knuckles turned white. "No, please," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I'd love to hear more." His parents were staring. My parents were staring. His boss. Our friends. Tim's mouth was slightly open like he couldn't process what was happening. Ethan reached out, lowering his voice. "Give me the phone, babe. We'll talk about this later." "No," I said, my voice sharp. "We'll talk about it now." The woman on the phone, whoever she was breathing heavily. "Ethan, tell me this isn't what I think it is," I said, still staring at him. He was panicking now. I could see it all over his face. His mouth opened and closed like he couldn't decide what lie to tell first. I can explain. That was all I needed to hear." I laughed. Loud. Hysterically. People shifted uncomfortably. "You can explain?" I repeated. "Fantastic. I'll start." "Who is she?" Ethan swallowed. "She's a friend." "A friend," I repeated slowly, like I was trying out the word for the first time. I turned back to the phone. "Hey, future wife, you hear that? You're just a friend." The woman on the phone let out this bitter, humorless laugh. "Oh, F you, Ethan," she snapped. "You told me you were leaving her. You told me you loved me." A murmur rippled through the guests. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt. I pressed the phone to my ear. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. Then, coldly, "A year. A full year. A full f***ing year of my husband lying to me." I turned back to Ethan, my vision blurred from rage. "A year?" Ethan's mouth moved, but no sound came out. He ran his hands over his face, looking around like someone might step in and save him. Nobody did. Tim was shaking his head. Ethan's mom had her hand over her mouth. "I can fix this," Ethan blurted suddenly. "It's not what you think." It didn't mean anything. I was going to end it, didn't mean anything. I cut him off. "You were telling her you loved her. You were telling her you were leaving me." I turned back to the phone. "Hey, future wife, what's your name?" "Tara," she snapped. "Tara, where are you right now?" She hesitated. At home. "Not with Ethan?" I asked, tilting my head. "No, we were supposed to go away this weekend," she said bitterly. He said he was going to tell you after your little dinner tonight. I let that sink in. Ethan was planning to leave me. He just hadn't gotten around to telling me yet. I inhaled sharply, then exhaled. I nodded to myself. Okay. Then I hung up the phone. Ethan reached for me. Babe, I stepped back. Don't touch me. I turned to the crowd. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the party. Then I picked up my purse, turned around, and walked straight out the door. Ethan didn't follow. I didn't look back. I walked straight out of that restaurant and onto Michigan Avenue, heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. The cold Chicago air slapped me in the face, but I barely felt it. My whole body was numb. Behind me, I heard the restaurant doors burst open. Footsteps. Wait. Ethan's voice. I didn't stop. Baby, please. Just let me explain. I spun around so fast he nearly slammed into me. Explain? I hissed. Oh, I think I got the explanation pretty damn clear, Ethan. A full year of you sneaking around like some pathetic little coward. You were going to leave me? Just waiting for the right time, huh? Thought you'd get one last birthday party before you walked out on me. His hands went to his hair, fingers gripping at it like he wanted to pull it out. His eyes were wild, darting around, looking anywhere but at me. He was panicking. I swear, I was going to end it. Oh, shut up. I screamed. People on the sidewalk turned to look. I didn't care. Let them watch. Ethan flinched. Do you think I'm stupid? I asked, voice shaking. Do you think I'm an idiot? You weren't going to end sh. You were waiting. Keeping your options open. You wanted her, but you wanted me too. You wanted me to keep playing house, cooking your meals, washing your clothes, keeping your life neat and clean while you ran off with some woman who thinks she's your future wife. His face twisted in anger. Don't talk about her like that. Silence. The words hung between us, thick and heavy like smoke. I let out a small, disbelieving laugh. Wow. I nodded slowly. Wow, okay. You're actually defending her. I'm not. No, it's fine, I said, stepping back. I just needed to hear it out loud. You're not even sorry. You're just sorry you got caught. He sighed, rubbing his face. I am sorry. I swear to God, I never meant to hurt you, but you did. I cut him off, voice sharp. You did, Ethan. And the worst part? You weren't even going to tell me. You were just going to let me keep loving you. Let me keep being your wife while you planned your new life behind my back. I shook my head. I would have done anything for you. His face crumpled. For the first time, he actually looked like he might cry. I love you, he whispered. I stared at him. No, you don't. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. And then, suddenly, Ethan? A woman's voice. I turned, and there she was. Tara. She wasn't what I expected. I thought she'd be younger. Some 20-something Instagram model type. But she wasn't. She looked to be around my age. Dressed nice, stylish, but not over the top. She was standing a few feet away, staring at us. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, I muttered. Tara. Ethan looked just as shocked as I was. You weren't answering your phone, she said, crossing her arms. So I tracked your location. I whipped my head back to Ethan. She tracks your location? That's cute. Tara took a few steps closer. So what's happening here? Are you going home with her or with me? The audacity. Ethan swallowed hard. His eyes darted between us like he was trying to solve some impossible equation. Oh my God, I laughed bitterly. You don't know, do you? You actually don't know what to do. You don't know which one of us to pick. Tara took another step closer. He already picked me. I turned to her slowly. Sweetheart, if he picked you, why was I the one throwing him a birthday party tonight? Her mouth tightened. Why was he still in our house this morning? Eating the breakfast I made? Kissing me goodbye like everything was normal? Tara didn't answer. Face it, I said. You weren't chosen. You were option B. Her face twisted. F you, she spat. He loves me. I shrugged. Then you can have him. Ethan's head snapped toward me. What? You heard me, I said. She wants you? Great. Go be with her. But first, I want you out of my house. Tonight. Baby, come on, don't, baby, me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't come home. I turned to walk away, but before I could, Tara did something that made my blood turn to fire. She laughed. You really think you're the only one, she said, shaking her head. God, you're just as dumb as I was. I stopped. What did you just say? She smiled. You really think he was only cheating with me? Silence. Even Ethan looked confused. Tara, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, Ethan. She let out a slow, pitying sigh. You think I didn't do my own digging? You think I didn't see the other women? You think I didn't check your emails? Your texts? My stomach dropped. Ethan's face paled. No, I whispered. Tara looked at me. Yeah, it's not just me. There were others. Lots of others. I turned back to Ethan, heart hammering. Tell me she's lying, I demanded. Ethan's lips parted. No sound came out. And in that silence, I got my answer. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely think. I kept waiting for Ethan to say something, anything, to deny it, to call Tara a liar, to fight for me, for us. But he just stood there, silent. I felt like I was going to throw up. How many? I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan swallowed. His mouth opened, then closed. His hands twitched at his sides like he wanted to reach for me, but even he knew better at this point. Ethan, I said, sharper now. How? Many. Tara crossed her arms, looking almost bored. At least 4, that I know of, she said. And those are just the ones dumb enough to leave a digital trail. I let out a slow, shaky breath. Who are they? What does it matter? Ethan finally snapped, running a hand through his hair. You want a list? Names? Does it make a difference? I stared at him. Yes, it FNG does. He clenched his jaw. His gaze flickered between me and Tara, like he was deciding how much to admit. One of them, Tara said, tilting her head, works with him. My stomach twisted. Where? Tara's smirk widened. Your company. I actually stumbled back a step. No, I whispered. No, that's not, but as soon as I said it, I knew. I knew exactly who it was. Madison. Ethan had always talked about how Madison from marketing was so funny, so smart, so good at her job. He'd say it so casually, so offhandedly, like it meant nothing. But I saw the way he smiled when she texted. The way he made excuses to stay late at the office. The way he suddenly started caring about company happy hours when before he never gave a SH. Oh my God, I breathed. Ethan looked down. Tara scoffed. You really didn't know? Wow. And I thought I was naive. I ignored her. I felt dizzy, like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. Did she know about me? I asked, voice shaking. Ethan hesitated. Tara answered for him. She knew. And that was it. That was the final nail in the coffin. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was planned. These women weren't just accidents, mistakes, or drunken lapses in judgment. These were women who knew I existed and didn't care. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to think. I was done being the humiliated wife. Done letting Ethan stand there, acting like the victim in all of this. Okay, I finally said. Ethan tensed. Okay, what does that mean? It means I'm done talking, I said. I'm done letting you waste my time. I have SHT to do. I turned to leave. That's it. Tara called out behind me. No screaming? No throwing things. I turned back and smiled. Oh, sweetie, I said. I don't need to scream. I have something better. Tara raised a brow. Yeah? What's that? Power. Ethan's face paled. Because he knew exactly what I meant. I spent the whole car ride home on the phone. First with my lawyer. Then with my company's HR department. Because Madison? She wasn't just some random employee. She was sleeping with her boss. And in a corporate environment, that's called a massive conflict of interest. By the time I pulled into the driveway of our house, my house, Madison's name was already flagged for an internal investigation. And Ethan? Well, he was about to walk into a storm he wouldn't be able to lie his way out of. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I had access to everything. Our joint bank accounts. Our shared credit cards. Our mortgage. Every detail of Ethan's life was tied to me. So I made sure, before he even had a chance to step foot inside, that everything he owned was locked down. When he finally showed up at the house, panting like he'd run there, I was already sitting on the couch, sipping a glass of wine. What did you do? He demanded. I smiled. Oh, I just made a few calls. Cleaned up a little. You know, got my life in order. Unlike you. You froze the accounts? He asked, voice rising. Yep, I said, popping the P. You changed the locks? Uh-huh. His hands curled into fists. You're being FNG crazy. I stood up slowly. Walked over to him until we were inches apart. You don't get to call me crazy, I said, voice calm. Not when you're the one who blew up our marriage. Not when you're the one who made me this way. He swallowed hard. Now get out of my house, I said. Go be with Tara. Or Madison. Or whoever the hell else you've been FNG. I don't care. You can't just kick me out, he snapped. This is my house too. Actually? I pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to him. It's not. He scanned it. His face drained of all color. Because I had bought this house. With my money. My name was the only one on the deed. And now he had nothing. I walked past him, heading toward the staircase. Oh, and one more thing? I tossed over my shoulder. What? He asked, voice hoarse. I stopped at the top step. Turned. Check your email. His brows furrowed. He pulled out his phone. And then I watched, grinning, as his whole world came crashing down. Because sitting in his inbox, copied to his boss, his HR department, and every single major contact in his industry, was an email from me. Subject, Ethan's double life, receipts attached and in the body, screenshots, bank statements, emails, all of it. His entire empire of lies laid out in perfect, undeniable detail. The moment he looked up, eyes wild, jaw clenched, I just smiled and whispered, "Happy FNG birthday, Ethan." Ethan's face twisted into something ugly. "You ruined my life," he breathed, voice shaking. I took a slow sip of my wine. "No, Ethan, you did that all on your own." His hands clenched into fists at his sides, eyes darting between me and his phone, like he still thought he could somehow undo this, like if he just talked fast enough, he could escape the truth. "You think this is funny?" he snapped. "You think destroying my career, my reputation, is some kind of joke?" I leaned against the railing at the top of the stairs, crossing my arms. "I think it's justice." "You don't understand," he said quickly, voice desperate. "I was going to leave Tara, I swear. Madison meant nothing. Those other women? Just mistakes. You are the one I love." "I just don't," I cut him off. "Don't say it." "But it's true." "No, Ethan. Love doesn't look like this." For a split second, I thought I saw something real in his face, fear. Not of losing his job. Not of the consequences. Of losing me. But it was too late. "I want a divorce," I said, voice steady. The words hung between us, heavier than anything else we had said that night. His breath hitched. His eyes filled with something raw, something I hadn't seen in years. Regret. But regret doesn't fix broken things. "You don't mean that," he whispered. "I do." Silence. I thought he would argue. Try to fight it. Instead, he did something I didn't expect. He let out a long, shaky breath, and when he looked up at me, I saw something strange in his expression. Acceptance. "Okay," he said softly. "Okay." It almost made me angrier. After all the lies, after all the betrayal, this was when he decided to grow a spine? "Get out," I said. He hesitated, but only for a moment. Then he turned and walked toward the door. Just as he reached for the handle, it flew open. And Tara stormed in. "What the F, Ethan?" she screamed, shoving her phone in his face. "You just deleted me off everything? Blocked my number? After everything?" He recoiled, but she wasn't done. "And what the hell is this?" She held up her phone. "Why is my boss calling me, saying they got an email about me being involved with a married man?" Ethan blinked. "Your boss?" "Yes, my boss, you idiot." Tara shoved him again. "You know I was up for a FNG promotion? And now I have to sit in a meeting tomorrow and explain why my name is tied to some workplace scandal." I took another sip of wine. Ethan looked at me. "You sent it to her job too?" I smiled. "Oops." Tara turned on me, eyes wild. "You're a bitter, petty b***." "Oh, absolutely," I said easily. "And you are an idiot who thought sleeping with a married man would end in a fairy tale." Tara let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Well, congratulations. You win. He's all yours." I laughed. "Oh, honey. I wouldn't take that man back if he were the last person on earth." She let out a frustrated scream, spun around, and stormed out. Ethan stood there for a moment, looking smaller than I had ever seen him. Then, without another word, he walked out after her. And just like that, he was gone. The next few weeks were a blur. The company did investigate Madison. She resigned before they could fire her. Ethan wasn't as lucky. He was put on leave while they reviewed his conduct. Last I heard, he was trying to get a job in another state. Tara didn't get her promotion. And me? I flourished. I finalized the divorce. Sold the house. Took the money and moved into a sleek new apartment overlooking the river. I cut my hair. Traveled for the first time in years. Started saying yes to things I had always put off. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. One night, months later, I was sitting on my balcony with a glass of wine when my phone buzzed. A message. "Ethan, do you ever miss me?" I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed my reply. "Me, I miss who I thought you were." Then I blocked his number. And finally, I moved on.